Fine. I'm Mike Wanner, Reverend Mike Wanner. I've been doing this healing thing for quite some time now. I was very active with the Medical Mission Sisters at the Center for Human Integration School of Integrative Body Mind Therapy for some 12 years before many of you were involved with the energy work. It was a great time in my life, and I learned a lot there. And been moving along other organizations. I'm happy to be involved with Awaken here, also involved with Salute the Service in Bristol, also involved with the great Pranic Healing, Bucks County, which is a fantastic international organization. People think it's local. It's not local. It's all around the world now. When I'm doing healing work on Sunday nights, there I'm talking to people in Papua New Guinea and Cyprus and in Bombay, and it's just amazing how many nations are represented in our meetup on a regular basis, and it's quite the place. And one of the biggest things that they've done, Greg had a big hand in, and that was the Pranic Healing Central at a couple of his last events. And it's just fantastic how Greg and Allison work together to deliver information and community to us all. It's spectacular. I'd like to share first off a resource that let me just put something in the chat here. Okay, put my Control V. Is that right? No, I did it wrong. Control V. Okay, should have my contact information in the chat, and many of the things I do on websites that I use. The biggest thing I want to share with you today that I invite you to write down right now while you're thinking about it so you don't forget, because this has all the access points and information to many of the things that I want to talk about today. And the website is pranic.healing.xyz. Pranic, Pranic, Healing, HEALING, .xyz. There's no com, there's no org, it's just .xyz. Pranic healing.xyz. And it's in with my contact information. If you had difficulty understanding me, you can just go there and see it. If you go to that website, the first thing that you can see on the page that comes up is free pranic healing primers. I've written 7 pranic healing primers for different communities or niches, as some people like to call it, to invite people to know that there's healing power for them. And that power comes via pranic healing, amongst other things that are out there. Okay, the first one up in the list there, and you can read the book online on that homepage right there, or you can download it right there, and the instructions are right there. And the first book is Meditation on Twin Hearts. This is about your crown chakra, where you're connected with God, and your heart chakra, where you're connected to the world, and getting them in sync so that you're in sync in between. Okay, and you can better communicate with God, and you can better communicate with people and understand people better and hear people better and understand what they mean better. This meditation on Twin Hearts is absolutely fantastic, and it's one of the things that I recommend to veterans because it's a sharing situation. When you connect to the energy in the meditation on Twin Hearts, then you broadcast that energy out to the world. And this world, as a physical unit, needs that energy tremendously well, because the environmental system has been severely damaged by everything that we've been doing in our lives, and now what's happening around the world in war and what have you. It's terrible what's happening to the world. We need to send our love to the world. The way we do that is when we go with the meditation on Twin Hearts, bring that energy down and broadcast it. Because we're powerful broadcasters and we can get that energy out there and help undo some of the damage that's been done. The second book, primer on that page, is about Pranic Healing Primer for cancer patients. And that's about nourishing cancer patients with love. And people don't get it. They think that chemicals are the answer to cancer. Chemicals aren't the answer to cancer. Love is the answer to cancer. We're human beings. You know, and as human beings, when love is shared with us, it's such a beautiful thing. It makes us alive. It makes us feel alive. It makes us feel wanted. It makes us feel connected. And it makes us want to give, because giving and receiving are the same. When someone gives you a compliment, what's the first thing you do? You say, oh, your hat looks nice too. Or you look good too. Or you just lost 10 pounds too. Because, you know, you just want to reciprocate the ebb and the flow of life. And courtesy and respect go a long way. The next book on that page right there is Pranic Healing in Bucks County in Philadelphia. Now that book is all about Bucks County Pranic Healing and its rightful place in the world and its rightful position here in Pennsylvania, sharing the blessings of the Creator to every niche. And Pranic Healing Bucks County has meditations at least 3 times a week. And then, of course, they have one in Japan on Monday nights that they co-host. And then they have another one on Wednesdays for veterans that they co-host. Or no, well, sometimes I co-host. She hosts it most of the time. And this organization just is so wonderful. And now they're getting back out there where they're having the meetups out in the community again. They're having them in Abington, and they're having courses again, and everything's rolling more and more, better and better. And Pranic Healing Bucks County is just up to the task and moving on. And we have some of the most wonderful, delightful new practitioners that have brought their own little twists and angles to help people that some of us older dudes and dudettes never thought of. So it's really moving. And I encourage you to read the book about Pranic Healing in Bucks County in Philadelphia, because there's a lot more here for all of us than many of us know about. It's not a big book. It's not like a 900-page book. It's all probably 30 pages. And it's a 6x9 format on the screen. So it's probably only 20 pages if it was 8.5 by 11. So it's not a lot of detail, but it's a power-packed information about how you can bring healing energy into your life, and you can get it to the people in your life that you love who need it. So that's that book. And then the next one is Pranic Healing Primer for those temporarily incarcerated. We hear an awful lot about poverty. We hear an awful lot about the government doing something about it. And the government does an awful lot of lining their own pockets up in Washington and letting the people do for themselves out here. One of the biggest things that we can do for ourselves is to get in the cycle of receiving. And we get in the cycle of receiving by being in the cycle of giving. Just like when you talk to a minister at church, he's going to say, tithe, tithe, tithe. So there's more there for the church to give back to you. Well, that's true. But it's also true that when you tithe to your community, whether you tithe to your neighborhood, where you just be receiving, giving from what you receive in your job or position or place wherever you are. Now, people say, yeah, but I don't have anything to give. Well, one of our great popes said that as long as you have a heart full of love, you always have something to give. And it doesn't cost you a dime to see somebody in your neighborhood and say something nice. Whether you know them or not, say something nice. Send some love out, kindness out, so that it's out there and it can come back to us. There's too much brutality. There's too much violence. There's not enough nice. There's not enough love. And we all can help broadcast more love out there. And when we put it out there, we can get on the receiving side and get some love back. And it feels good when you get love back from people you don't even know, but they know somebody who knows you and says, hi. Oh, Mabel says hi. Well, it's nice to get a hi from Mabel. It's also nice to get people going around spreading, caring, loving, concerning, and helping us understand that we're all loved and connected. Connection is powerful to keeping us safe. The next thing, a book in the series, is Pranic Healing Primer for those temporarily impoverished. We've got a big problem as a country with our jails because we take all the money that we should be putting into schools and we put it into jails. And then we don't do anything to get the jails emptied by situationing the residents of the prison into a situation where they can get out and stay out. As a matter of fact, we do the direct opposite. We make it so hard for them to make it, it's almost impossible. So if I wrote the whole book about that, and that's on top of 64 other books that I've written about prisons. So, they could go together and create a much more wonderful world than we have right now. If you get the hint, I write a lot, and I give away. I have technical problems now, but I give away Kindles every day. I've given away over 12,000 books that I know of so far, and many more that aren't even tracked. So information is out there, and it's always available to you. If I wrote something that you can't get, feel free to send me an email and ask me to share a copy with you. And then the big thing that I'm talking about today, Pranic Healing Primer for veterans. You may not believe this, but one of the biggest problems with veterans and their care, and not everybody will agree with this, but this is my take, is that they don't even know how they feel. And when I work with people and ask them how they feel, they can talk to me for an hour. I know nothing. But I give them a little test that I created. Test from 1 to 12, emotions from 1 to 12. I ask them to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. And when they do, I have a 120-point spread of their emotionality. And when I go to work on them, I know exactly where I need to be. Not to fix what they're talking about, but to fix what's really matter. And I love it. How did you know? And they didn't realize when they give me the answer to the test, and I compare that to other points in their system, then I know that those two things mean that a third thing is a problem for them. And I got to work over there. So anyhow, the book, Chronic Healing for Veterans, is just an amazing little hint as to what we can do. And I'm discovering more stuff all the time as I'm working with them. And I've got at least 2 more books in process that should be out in nearby months. And if you go to pranichealing.xyz, you'll be able to find them. Because when we leave that section of the book, and we leave that side, we go to the next side. The next column over, the tab is Veterans. And on that Veterans tab, we got a lot of stuff there. Under the Veterans tab, first thing up is Mondays with Mike. So working together with Salute to Service, if someone asks for it, they can either participate in the chat from 6 to 7 p.m., general chat, or they can have a private session in the 4 blocks from 7 to 7:30, 7:38, 8:30, 8 to 8:30, 8:30 to 9. I'll actually do a half-hour private pranic healing session for them online, on Zoom, where we can get into what they need to get into. No charge. Just get into it. And so you're welcome to contact me, or you're welcome to contact Salute to Service and set that up. The next thing on that under the Veterans tab is the intro to pranic healing that the Pranic Healing Bucks County has. They have a link, and every Wednesday at 1 o'clock, Allison, or sometimes I'm subbing for her, host this event talking with 2 veterans about what Pranic Healing and Pranic Healing Bucks County has to offer them. It's just wonderful, powerful information. Next thing down on that list is the Pranic Healing for Veterans program, which is my practicum. Outside of the Mondays with Mike, I have another thing because I'm in the Associates Certified Pranic Healing program right now, where as part of my practicum, I'm giving away sessions for people and for veterans, and they're welcome to take me up on that offer. It's also posted on the Angel Raphael Speaks website. Next item down on that list is a video of a veteran who's been worked on with pranic healing, or worked on other people with pranic healing along the way, and how it's helped them. Next here is on that tab is the same book as was on the other side, Pranic Healing for Veterans, Pranic Healing Primer for Veterans. And after that, there's another veterans video with Laura Tout, who's another veteran, and that's another Pranic Healing Bucks County video on her experience with pranic healing. And the last item in that column is that once again, the Meditation May Help Heal the World book that comes over from the first column. So there's another book in draft format. If you go over to the 8th column and go all the way to the bottom where it says drafts, and then go to the right of that, that's Angels and Prana for Veterans book is there. And also on that website, at the top is the emotional intensity test that I talked about before, 12 emotions, scale 1 to 10. Also at the bottom of that form, I created a form with 6 copies of it, 6 identical copies of the format. But the invitation is for everybody who's having any kind of emotional concerns to track their emotionality on a single piece of paper for a whole month. So all I'm suggesting is you take that test in that format every 5 days and see what's bothering you now, what's bothering you in 5 days, and the next 5, and the next 5, and the next 5. You'll be able to see whether the things that are of concern to you now are temporary, or whether they're stuck in your life and going to create more and more issues for you because you're not getting to the heart of them. Usually what I find is that people are spending a lot of time and effort working on something that's not the real problem. And the real problem just gets worse and worse and worse. So that's as much as I can condense it. Greg, can we open up for questions?
We sure can. And I also want to just mention that along with, to go with the pranic healing theme, and if anybody wants to experience the meditation and experience pranic healing in the workshop room at the end of the day at 4 o'clock, we're actually going to be joining in the ongoing evening of Pranic Healing that's hosted by Pranic Healing Bucks County. So that wonderful Twin Hearts meditation. So at 4 o'clock, if you want to experience that and learn more about Pranic Healing, make sure you jump over to the workshop room. And if anybody has any questions for Mike right now about anything that he's doing or his books or his writing, please go ahead and unmute yourself and jump right in.
And I suspect that at 4 o'clock, I'll be there again. I also suspect that the great Clarence Lee Jackson will be there. And I'm sure there will be other fantastic pranic healers that will be more than happy to meet you and work with you. Questions? Comments? Don't be bashful. I don't bite.
I have a friend who's a Vietnam vet who's in the hospital right now. And however, he's a born again Christian. So I don't know if you ever delve into working with people who have that consciousness and or whether they would see you as evil. So I don't know. I would recommend you or not, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. Well,
what do you think?
I think that when I'm concerned about ruffling someone's feathers with something that may not be welcome, I always do a little fishing expedition. I'll say something like, well, I just heard about this, whatever it is, and then I see what they think about that. And then, depending on what they say, it determines whether I'll take the time to say more, or whether I keep my mouth shut, because I don't want to alienate someone, just like you're concerned about upsetting this person. I don't want to upset anybody, but I do like to fish to see if I might have something that could help them.
I mean, I guess my question is, and are there parallels in the work that you do where you could reference Christ so that there would be a line of communication to him?
I don't like to try to change. Pranic healing has its own set of criteria upon which it orients everything. And it's not about preaching. It's not about religiosity per se, but it is about meditation and
I guess in my mind right now, I'm just thinking that Christ's miracles are miracles. And to me, I would think that pranic healing works on the same energy. Is that a way to explain it?
That might be a work. I wouldn't endeavor to do any of that myself, but you're his friend or her friend, and you can talk to them at your level.
Okay.
I just like to present pranic healing as authentically as I can, to what's been handed down. It's like anything in life. You don't always agree with the higher ups about some things they do, but if you're in that alignment and you're working within that organization, you can't go in and try to change the rules or change the principles along the way, because the principles are evolved over many years of experience and effort.
Thank you so much.
But I like the idea that you care enough about this individual to want to see, and I invite you to consider once again the fishing analogy. How much could I share and see if I get positive responses, or whether or not any of this might appeal? And I'll tell you a story of my own mother. My mother didn't want to have any concern about Reiki when I was doing Reiki all the time. And she'd listen and listen, and she'd ignore it. And then she had a problem with Vioxx, and they put her in the hospital, and she was in pain because they took her off all the medication. So I said, you want to try Reiki? And she said, okay. So in like 7 minutes, she was out of pain. And then when she got better, she went right back to the drugs because that was her orientation. That was her familiarity. But then when things got bad again a couple of years later, bring those Reiki hands of yours over here. you know, and you know how families are. They drive you nuts. So anybody else have anything?
I do. I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, good.
My name is Anne. I have a question for how pranic healing can work for burned out healers, people who've been in service their whole life.
Okay, burned out healers. My concern with that is they are not getting enough healing. And it's time for you to get some healing. And I did a lot of pastoral work at Jefferson Frankfurt Hospital for 15 years. And when I would talk to women who were great healers, many traditionally not energy healers, but healers, and I would tell them the story of the well. The story of the well goes like this. The farmer always took care of the well. Why? Because the well was how he could get to the water. Because the water is very important when they have a drought. Because it takes care of the farmer and his wife and the kids and the animals and the crops to keep the seed corn and all that stuff ready. So the farmer would always take care of the well. Women don't take care of the well. They are the well. And they don't take care of it. They run themselves down and run themselves down and run themselves down. And I say to them when they're in the hospital, time for you to get from the back of the line to the front of the line and take care of yourself first so that you can go ahead and heal and then go ahead and get back and get to the back of the line doing what you want to do to heal everybody else.
That's great.
How's that work for you?
Sounds right on the mark.
At 4 o'clock today, you come in to Pranic Healing and tell them that you're a caregiver who's given too much for too long and you need to get a battery recharge.
That's great.
They'll be delighted to work on you.
Thank you, Mike. God bless you.
My pleasure. I love doing this stuff because I can see people break through their limiting beliefs. Women are a tremendous resource for every country, everywhere, and they're underappreciated and they're undervalued. Time for them to get to the front of the line. Nurture themselves so that they can do more of what they want to do, not what they have to do, what they want to do.
Oh, you sound like a vacation. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a good one. Thanks.
All right, darling. Take good care of yourself.
Okay, you too.
Well,
Thanks
yeah.
everybody for coming. Have a great
Yep.
day.